Natasha stepped off the truck. Dust swirled. Buildings lay in ruins. The air hung heavy, thick with smoke and the metallic tang of fear. Her heart pounded a frantic rhythm against her ribs. She clutched Sergei closer, his small hand warm in hers. This was not the world she knew. This was war. The driver, a grizzled man with eyes that held too much, pointed towards a makeshift hospital. "Hurry," he rasped, his voice rough with exhaustion. "They can help him there." Natasha nodded, fear a cold knot in her stomach. She had to be strong. For Sergei, he needed her. She joined the throng of people, their faces etched with worry and exhaustion. The world seemed to shrink, the chaos fading into a dull roar as she focused on her son. His breathing was shallow, his face pale. "Hold on, my love," she whispered, her voice trembling. "We're almost there." The hospital, a repurposed schoolhouse, buzzed with a desperate energy. Overwhelmed medical staff rushed through corridors overflowing with the injured. The air thrummed with a symphony of groans and hushed sobs. The stench of antiseptic and suffering hung heavy in the air. A kind-faced nurse, her eyes filled with a weary compassion, gently took Sergei from Natasha's arms. "Don't worry," she murmured, her voice soothing. "We'll take good care of him." Natasha watched, her heart a lead weight in her chest, as they disappeared behind a makeshift curtain. Time blurred. Minutes stretched into an eternity of waiting. Every second was an agonizing battle against the fear that threatened to consume her. She sat huddled in a corner, her gaze fixed on the curtain, praying for a miracle. Natasha closed her eyes, seeking solace in prayer. Images of a life before the war flickered through her mind. The warmth of their small apartment, the scent of sunflowers on a bright summer day, Sergei's laughter as he chased butterflies in the park. A single tear escaped, tracing a path through the dust on her cheek. Memories, bittersweet and precious, offered a fragile shield against the harsh reality. She clung to them, drawing strength from the love that resonated through the years. Prayer offered a flicker of hope in the darkness. It reminded her of the beauty that still existed in the world, the beauty that war could not extinguish. And in that hope, she found a glimmer of strength, a reason to keep going. Days turned into weeks. Sergei was getting better, slowly but surely. His laughter, though weak, filled Natasha with a fierce joy. She spent every waking moment by his side, determined to be his pillar of strength. One day, the kind-faced nurse approached her. "We need help," she said, her voice etched with exhaustion. "We need anyone who can lend a hand." Natasha didn't hesitate. "I'll help," she said, her voice firm. "I can learn." And learn she did. She learned to change bandages, to comfort the wounded, to offer a kind word and a gentle touch. She discovered a strength within herself she never knew she possessed, a strength born out of love and desperation. The hospital became Natasha's world. She worked tirelessly, finding purpose in her service, her own anxieties fading in the face of the overwhelming need around her. Yet, a sense of unease lingered in the air. The news from the front lines grew grimmer. The enemy was advancing. The city was no longer safe. Whispers of evacuation filled the corridors, casting a shadow over the fragile hope that had taken root. One evening, the doctor, a weary man with kind eyes, pulled Natasha aside. "You must leave," he said, his voice grave. "It's not safe for you or your son here anymore." Leaving. The word hit Natasha like a physical blow. Leave the hospital, her sanctuary, leave the city, her home, leave behind all that was familiar, all that she had left. But the doctor's words echoed in her ears. She had to think of Sergei, his safety, his future. She couldn't stay here, not anymore. The thought of leaving him, even for a moment, was unbearable. But she knew what she had to do. She looked down at her son, his pale face serene in sleep. "I will keep you safe," she whispered, her voice firm with resolve. "I promise." The decision was made. She would take him west, away from the fighting, away from the fear. The journey west was long and perilous. They traveled with a group of refugees, their meager possessions bundled on their backs. The road was fraught with danger, every turn a gamble against fate. Natasha held Sergei close, his small hand clutching hers. She drew strength from his presence, from the unwavering belief that shone in his eyes. She would not let him down. She would get him to safety. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the desolate landscape, Natasha looked up at the sky. The stars, hidden for so long by the smoke and dust, twinkled above her. They were a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, light still existed. And so she walked on, her steps fueled by a mother's love, her heart filled with an unwavering resolve. The road ahead might be long, the future uncertain, but she would face it all with courage, for her son, for her love, for life itself.